went belly up. You knew the Titanic was sinking, and you made sure you got to the lifeboats first.
A House committee investigating the debacle peppered CEO Brian Harrison and CFO Bill Stover with sharp questions.
What is your plan to pay back the taxpayers, and when will you pay it back?
Was the White House duped by Solyndra?
Did you issue bonuses to your senior management?
Was this a violation of federal law?
The executives refused to answer, invoking their right not to incriminate themselves.
Will you invoke your Fifth Amendment rights in response to all questions here today?
Yes.
Yes.
The story of Solyndra and the American taxpayer goes all the way back to December 2006. That's when the company applied to the Department of Energy for a government loan guarantee under a Bush administration program to reduce greenhouse gases. While Solyndra was waiting for a decision, then Democratic presidential primary candidate Barack Obama was promising to spend even bigger on green technology.
My energy plan will invest $150 billion to establish a green energy sector that will create up to 5 million new jobs over the next 2 decades.
After taking office, his administration moved quickly. It put Solyndra's stalled loan application on the fast track.
Which is why we invest in Solyndra.
Within 8 months, Vice President Joe Biden was announcing a $535 million loan guarantee for Solyndra, the first such grant under the Obama stimulus.
It will serve as a foundation for a stronger American economy.
8 months later, in May 2010, the president highlighted Solyndra as a shining example of his policy to create the jobs of the future.
The true engine of economic growth will always be companies like Solyndra.
How does a company go from having the President of the United States visit it to having the FBI come in and confiscate its files?
Was it fraud?
I only wish we could have invested in some crime scene tape and taken it down there and circled their building.
Incompetence?
Do you believe the Justice Department's investigation is a smokescreen to shield the administration's gross negligence?
Crony capitalism?
What interaction did Solyndra have with the White House during this process?
We need to put our investigation into perspective.
Or just an unfortunate stumble in pursuit of a critical national interest?
The future will belong to the countries that invest in clean energy.
But with more than 14 million Americans out of work, 2 million more than when President Obama took office, Americans also need to ask whether the U.S. government really can transform the entire U.S. economy as it wishes, directing the economic decisions of 300 million Americans. This hour will go beyond the headlines to see the human face of President Obama's green energy policies. For the last 10 months, we've traveled coast to coast, visited bustling factories and shuttered plants, and listened to tales of despair and hope. We didn't get a chance to talk to President Obama or anyone in his administration. Our repeated interview requests were denied. But we did talk to a number of supporters of the president's green jobs policy, including 2 men who got a presidential shout-out in this year's State of the Union address.
Robert and Gary Allen are brothers who run a small Michigan roofing company, but half of their factory went unused, and the recession hit them hard.
But the Allen brothers found an upside to the downturn with a big assist from the American taxpayer.
Today, with the help of a government loan, that empty space is being used to manufacture solar shingles that are being sold all across the country.
When did the government first start getting involved?
From the very beginning, telling us how we could make a business out of this and helping us to do that and using their resources to prod us along.
And when the Allen brothers found themselves low on cash for supplies, Uncle Sam was there again.
When we were in our hour of need, I turned to the government and I said, I have to have $250,000 right now, or else bad things are going to happen. And they found a way to give us a low-interest loan. For us, it was a godsend.
How many employees have you been able to hire with the assistance?
The plan is to hire 18 employees, and so far we've hired 6. So, it's a struggle. There's no question about it.
Would you have been able to hire those folks without the government assistance?
It certainly would have been a lot harder, so maybe no, maybe not.
This was a jump start.
It certainly was a big help.
I feel lucky to be here.
Chris Newcomb is one of the half-dozen new employees the Allen brothers did hire.
I hope to have this job for the rest of my life.
The problem is that Chris Newcomb's job is still on life support. Not only did the government pay for his company to convert its production line, it's also paying consumers to buy the Allen brothers solar shingles.
I was watching the president's speech, and I thought it's worth me looking into.
Lisa and Mike Carino of Andover, New Jersey, discovered that government grants and loans given to companies like the Allen brothers are only one way taxpayers are paying for the green economy. Installing solar shingles on their home allowed them to write off 1/3 of the $65,000 cost on their federal taxes. For them, a pharmacist and a stay-at-home mom, it was a $19,500 deduction. New Jersey renewable energy mandates made the deal even sweeter. It would issue the Carinos solar renewable energy certificates every month, and each month the local power company will then purchase them and pass the cost onto its other customers.
On average, for the next 15 years, we'll be getting about $700 per month back. We could walk away with, $150,000 in profit. We should start getting checks in 3 to 4 months, but they will actually be backdated from when the system actually comes on.
So our first check should be around $2,500.
Would they have installed the Allen brothers solar shingle system without their fellow taxpayer picking up the tab?
No. Without the rebates, it wouldn't make any sense to do.
We talked to the Carinos. They told us that without those subsidies paying for the installation, it wouldn't make any sense for them to do it. You agree with that?
At this point, there's still a lot of work to do to get to the business to be self-sufficient.
They say they're creating jobs, and that's what's good for the country.
All the way from the delivery truck that brought the freight and the guy that took it off the truck and put it in place, to the contractors that hooked it up to the grid, and even to the utility company that has to hire more personnel to inspect these solar systems. I mean, it's jobs, 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 jobs.
And to spur on more success stories like the Allen brothers, we've begun to reinvent our energy policy.
So in your opinion, the government money is key.
It's what government should be doing. When you think about innovation throughout history, when government gets behind an innovative product, it's always a good thing.
Is it really always a good thing? The archivists here at Thomas Edison's laboratory tell us Edison never got low-interest loans from the government or taxpayer-funded rebates for his consumers. He probably would be stunned by our next story. Training programs for green jobs that don't exist. And again, you're picking up the tab.